Roguelikes have a way of testing your patience and pride at the same time. You die, you retry, and you tell yourself this time will be different. Absolum lives right in that space. A roguelite beat-em-up that constantly tempts you to go one more round. It mixes the structured combat of classic brawlers with the repeat and upgrade loop of roguelike. Sometimes that mix works brilliantly. Other times it feels like two games fighting each other. The result is a stylish, hard-hitting brawler that takes too long to find its rhythm. The story sets up a war-torn land called Talam, broken by magic and ruled by a tyrant named Sun King Azra. You play as a rebel, using forbidden powers to bring him down. Every time you die, a powerful witch saves you from permanent death, sending you back into the fight. The premise has potential, but the story takes too long to get going. Early dialogue and lore feel generic, with familiar fantasy tropes about fallen kingdoms and lost lands. It gets better later, but that improvement comes after hours of repetition. The gameplay, though, is where Absolum shines. You start by picking from 4 fighters: a gun-toting dwarf, a sword-swinging elf knight, or a mechanical thief, and a frog mage. Each one feels distinct, with their own combos, throws, and special attacks. Combat has weight and flow. You can juggle enemies, bounce them off walls, or pull off satisfying finishers that show off some real flair. The game rewards timing and aggression, especially its defensive mechanics. Dodging into attacks or clashing weapons at the right moment can turn fights around. When everything clicks, it feels incredible. But then the roguelite systems start dragging things down. Progression depends on collecting temporary upgrades during runs and unlocking permanent bonuses between them. Early on, it feels like your success depends less on skill and more on whether your stats are high enough. Health pickups are scarce, and the game makes you grind through the same enemies and areas again and again. The map doesn't change, which makes dying feel repetitive instead of motivating. Some of the best character moves are locked behind random upgrades, which is frustrating when those abilities clearly should have been part of the core toolkit. Once you've played long enough to unlock better upgrades and learn the map, things start to come together. Around the 8-hour mark, runs feel smoother and more rewarding. The fights become faster, the upgrades more meaningful, and the story finally starts to pay off. Still, getting to that point takes too much patience. For a game that's supposed to be about fast-paced action, Absolum often slows itself down with grind and repetition. The production values help carry it. The art is striking, the soundtrack goes hard, and the combat animation is fluid. It's clear the developers behind Streets of Rage 4 know how to make fights look and feel good. But the roguelite structure limits what could have been a standout beat-em-up. Instead of pushing through fights based on skill, you're often stuck repeating runs to build numbers. Absolum hits hard, but takes too long to hit its stride. The combat is excellent, deep, stylish, and satisfying, but it's buried under repetition and grind that don't serve the experience. Once the systems open up, it becomes a strong action game worth finishing. The problem is that most players won't stick around long enough to see that. If it had focused on being a pure beat-em-up instead of splitting its focus with roguelite elements, it could have been something special. As it stands, Absolum is a great brawler trapped inside a slower, messier loop. Gorgeous visuals and sharp mechanics can't fully save it from itself, but when it works, it's a reminder of why we keep trying again even after the 100th death. For more, check out our reviews of Little Nightmares 3 or King of Meat. Thanks for watching.